assistance. Rogue hive detected.
You got knocked the fuck out!
He jumped up and killed me and he jumped back down. Not sure how we can stand around back
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Division 2 build video. Now in today's video I will be showing you how to rip through those high armor tank builds, also the best way to immobilize them like you saw in the opening sequence by way of the riot foam. Combine all of that with high crit and you've got a recipe for destruction. Before I go any further though, I do want to give a big shout out and a big thank you to all my recent subscribers, everyone else that is supporting the channel. Thank you, I appreciate it. And like always, if you find the video useful, if you enjoy it, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content. With that out of the way, let's get into the build, shall we? So this is a 3 blue core and 3 red core attribute build. So we are at 1.3 million armor and just under 300,000 armor. Now the main focus of this build is damage to armor. You want to rip through your enemy's armor as quickly as possible, primarily focusing on those high armor ones. And there's just a few key things that you have to keep in mind. For one, you're going to want to run minimum 2 pieces of Walker and Harris. I'll go into further detail in just a little bit. You're going to want the Contractor's gloves, and you're going to want a high RPM weapon, which of course we know the best choice of course is the Vector. But let's start from the top. With the specialization, I went with the Gunner. Of course you are free to choose whichever one you prefer. I like the Gunner primarily for its medkit bonus, which gives you additional armor when you heal yourself. It also provides you with additional armor on kill, faster reloads, etc., etc. If we get into my main weapon, like I said, you're going to want a high RPM weapon, which is going to also assist you in shredding through those high armor builds. Of course, the Vector comes with 1200 right out of the box. And the talent that I will highly recommend is Measured, because the top half of the magazine gives you an additional 20% rate of fire on top of the 1200 that it already comes with. So you can see my attributes there, my core attributes I should say, and for the attribute and a must for this build is of course damage to armor. Moving on to my secondary, I am using the Mop. It doesn't get a lot of use, but when it does come out, it's usually to finish off my opponent. I rolled Optimist on it, but you can roll whatever talent of your choice. And lastly, my sidearm. I like to use the Orbit. It's got one of the best, in my opinion, it's one of the best pistol talents, which is Perfect Finisher. If you swap and kill your enemy with this weapon, you gain an additional 35% crit hit chance and 40% critical hit damage for 15 seconds. This bonus also applies to your main weapon, so keep that in mind, guys. Okay, so let's get into the individual gear pieces. Like I mentioned not too long ago, you're going to want minimum 2 pieces Walker and Harris. Why 2 pieces? Well, 1 piece gives you 5% weapon damage, 2 pieces gives you an additional 5% damage to armor. I also mentioned you're going to want the Contractor's gloves, again because it comes with that plus 8% damage to armor. So all in all, you have 6% damage to armor from your Vector. You have an additional 5% damage to armor from your 2 pieces of Walker and Harris, and you've got 8% damage to armor from your gloves, giving you a grand total of 19% damage to armor. With the mask, I went with Coyote's mask. I still think it's best in slot here because of the bonus, which just provides you with a lot of crit chance and crit damage depending on how far or how close you are from your enemy. I'm sure you're all very familiar with the talent pack instincts. I went with 1 piece Sokolov for that 10% SMG damage. You can choose Grupo Sombra for more crit damage if you prefer. As far as my talents, I went with Intimidate on the chest, and I went with Perfect Adrenaline on the backpack. If you're not familiar with this combo, Adrenaline Rush gives you additional bonus armor when you are within 10 meters of your enemy, and Adrenaline takes this bonus armor and it amplifies your weapon damage by 35%. So really good synergy there between these 2 talents. On my holster is my first piece of Walker and Harris. I went with red all across the board. The second piece, like I just talked about, of course, is the backpack. I rolled armor on it. As for my Contractor's gloves, I rolled armor on it as well. And for my knee pads, I went with the Fox's Prayer knee pads. Now, it doesn't give you damage to armor, but it does give you damage to target out of cover, which I think in this scenario, these knee pads are best in slot. If we look at my skills quickly, I used the Crusader shield for when I'm on low on health or just for added survivability, and of course the riot foam to immobilize your opponent. If we quickly go into my stats, I am at 57% critical hit chance, 128.2% critical hit damage, 55% headshot damage. There's my armor damage, 19%. My all weapon damage bonus is at 52.7, and my SMG gun damage bonus is at 37.4. And that, guys, is the build. It's fun to use, and I'd love to hear your comments or suggestions in the comment section below how you run this build. If you have a similar variant of it, I'd love to hear about it. And like always, guys, I will catch you on the next one. Peace out.